G Sports. We're back, as always. Still working hard. It will be hardly working in about 12 hours as I get ready for the Texas OU shootout. I don't care if that's not PR. I grew up with it being called a shootout. It's a damn shootout. Other than that, I'm looking forward to the NFL Sunday. And guys, I have a pick that is my pick. I'm going to be playing it. I don't want you to necessarily run out there if you're telling me and go do this. I'm just bringing it up because it's a spot play. And if you want to kind of just dabble in it, maybe throw like a half a unit or even just a couple bucks, whatever is like left in the balance, I would try it. Like I said, I just wanted to bring this up to kind of to your knowledge or forefront here because it's starting to pop up more and more around other YouTube channels and podcasts and stuff like that. And I wanted to tell you now because if you wait too late, if you wait until like Saturday or Sunday, especially right before kickoff, it's going to be gone. And like I said, this is just a lean. This is something that my money's on the line. Don't feel obligated to go do this one. I'm not even going to be counting it in this one. Again, I feel like I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't bring it up. So, for all of that precursor, we're going to look at the Saints. I had mentioned earlier in the week that the Saints, the two losses they had came against really heavy blitzing teams. And Washington is another heavy blitzing team. And while that is a big, I don't want to say flag, but just a big topic that I want to kind of focus on, and I want to watch the game through the lens of like, hey, how is this team reacting to the blitz? I also have a few other things that I've been looking at and just looking through on this game. So number one, Sean Payton, and again, I said this if you've been listening to this channel for more than just a week or two, I've been saying this since the beginning of the season, even going back to the preseason. Sean Payton is a notoriously slow starter. That's just the way he's been. That's his entire career. My theory on that is, again, he uses a lot of analytics and numbers, and just like the books, just like me, just like every other sharp, or I don't even want to call myself sharp, but just like everybody else that has some sort of algorithm or computer model, whatever, it takes like a good 4 weeks, really, to get enough stats and data so that you can rely on and you're not just going back to last season's numbers. So we usually see him turn it on and he kind of hits his stride around this time. So that's kind of mark number one for the Saints. Aside from that, though, you probably hear the word desperate. Desperate team. Certain teams are very desperate to get a win, just like the Colts were last week. If you are hearing that and you're thinking like, man, the players, they must be really desperate to get a win. Each individual player really wants to win this game and they're so competitive. I mean, yeah, that's probably true, but that's really true of every game, right? Like, there's no professional athlete that's not competitive. These guys all think they're the number one guy. They all think that they're alpha males and all this other kind of crap. It's totally fine. But what I really think this means when we talk about a desperate team is not so much on the player level or on each individual guy or anything like that. I really think this comes down to coaching. How aggressive is the coach willing to be? If a coach is not desperate, like let's say you are sitting at 4-0, I don't know, maybe you're the Cardinals or whatever, and you're like, you know what, I want this win, but I want to keep my guys healthy. I don't want to show too much out of the playbook. I just kind of want to get the win and do our business and get out of here. Okay, cool. You're probably not going to take a lot of chances. You're probably not as apt to go for it on like a 4th and 3. You're probably going to kick it if you're like on the 50 as far as like a punt. Stuff like that. The coaching and the play calling is not as aggressive because the team is not quote-unquote desperate. So when you look at a team like the Colts last week who got the win, was Jacoby Brissett, on the Dolphins, was he not playing like he wanted to win? Was Carson Wentz just that much better of a quarterback? No. Frank Reich and his coaching crew realized, like, hey, look, we're 0-3. I don't give a shit if we do, turn it over on downs and we're on the 40. What's the worst that's going to happen? We're going to get another loss? Okay, well, chalk it up to the rest. Let's be aggressive. And that's what you see a lot with these teams. And I'm bringing all of that up because the Saints, even though they're 2-2, I think right now they are in a spot where they're going to want to be aggressive. I don't want to necessarily say that they're going to be desperate, but I think Sean Payton is in a spot where he thinks, you know what, I have to go for it. I need to be aggressive right here. And let me tell you why. So obviously they get the first one against the Packers. That was fine. I personally think the Packers are overrated, but that's a whole other story. They lose to the Panthers. And again, I kind of chalked that one up, and I even had it on my little schedule sheet there that I really should have bet the Panthers in that week, but I didn't. Then they go on, they beat the Patriots. Okay, cool, you beat a rookie. Meh, it is what it is. Then they lost to the Giants. The Giants were 0-3. They're supposed to be one of like the worst teams in the league, and they're in the NFC East, which other than maybe the Cowboys, if you want to give them credit for being good, the Giants have just not really shown a whole lot. So for the Saints to go out and lose that game, I'm sure it was pretty disappointing, and it probably pissed a lot of them off. And they're going to go back and they're going to self-reflect and be like, damn, how the hell did the Giants beat us when we can beat teams like the Packers? So then coming into this week, they're playing Washington, another NFC East team. Not only is it another NFC East team that doesn't necessarily always have a lot of high competition, but they're also going to be playing this team on a kind of a banged-up week. Antonio Gibson had just came out. He's been playing through a stress fracture in his shin. A stress shit. Me personally, and like I like competition and stuff, but like if I have a headache that's too bad, I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna cut the grass today. So I don't know how the hell he's playing on a stress fracture. Other than that, though, obviously you're on the backup quarterback already with Tyler Heineke. Really, the only true weapon they have is Terry McLaurin, and then even at that, Tyler Heineke, as great as he may be as like scrambling and running around and kind of extending the play, he's not Drew Brees, he's not Tom Brady, he's not going to make these plays, he's not the best at reading defenses. He's a good guy, he's a good backup, he's a solid guy who can kind of keep the wheels turning, but that's about it. And with Terry McLaurin, if he is the only true weapon, he's the only guy that your defense is going to worry about, you better believe that entire defense, I'm not saying they're going to double him, but they're going to scheme the hell out of him. They're going to have linebackers going out, shading out towards his zone, just in case he runs the in route. They're going to have a safety bracketing him or kind of shaded over to his side of the ball. They're going to have a corner stuck on him. They're going to consistently give him these like very tough windows, these very tough zones that he's got to break out of. And I personally don't trust Heineke to make those throws. If he is seeing that this guy's constantly covered and constantly in bad situations, I really don't think he's going to even let the ball go that direction. He's going to be forced into other throws that are probably not as great to players who are not as great. And after all that is said and done, after this week, the Saints have a bye week. There is no way in hell that Sean Payton wants to go into that bye week with 2 straight losses, and on top of that, 2 straight losses to the NFC East in games that they should have or were expected to win or favorites to win. And then when they come out of the bye, if he's really been stewing in this and just kind of pissed off about it, it's not like they're coming out of the bye to an easy game, an easy win. They're going to be playing the Seahawks out of their bye week. After they play the Seahawks, then they're going to go ahead and turn around and play the Buccaneers. And guess what? That Seahawks game is the night game, and I believe it's a Sunday night game, and it's in Seattle. So it does not get any easier, and then it's going to stay hard those first 2 weeks out of their bye week until they meet the Falcons the third week out. But again, all of that is to say that this is a spot play. There's no numbers here. All of my numbers actually say the exact opposite. The grading algorithm, the Madden stuff, everything says that Washington should win this game. It all says that Washington should be about a 3 to 4 point favorite and that they should be winning this game. The reason I'm going against that, and again, this isn't even a full unit for me, it's like a half unit for me, but the reason that I'm even kind of dabbling in this is that those numbers cannot take into account the personal side of things. It doesn't take account for people who are playing through injuries. There's not a way we quantify that injury. So there's not like a way that something we can just throw into the algorithm. It doesn't quantify a coach who is really going to want to get this win before he heads into his bye week. It's not, obviously it's not accounting for all the human elements. So for that reason, I personally am going to put a half unit on the Saints money line. Like I said, don't feel pressured to walk into that one. we'll throw it in there if you want to. I wanted to lay this out for you because you're going to hear this pick. I can almost guarantee it. If you're listening to other channels, which I'm sure you are, you're gonna hear that pick come up as far as like people wanting the Saints minus 2.5 and all that kind of stuff. I feel like I wanted to give you more background than just, let's take the Saints here, or other people are going to take the Saints. And the reason I'm taking them on the money line is I could see this being like a last-second field goal. This is probably going to be a pretty close game. It's going to be some mistake somewhere. I could see this still being a close game. I don't necessarily like the 2.5, even though it gives you the key number of 3. I'm just taking the money line. It's only at minus 135, so it's not like this huge. You're not paying minus 200 or anything. Saints money line, half unit. That's what I'm doing. Aside from that, though, let's get on from that to take a look at some of the numbers that have changed or moved throughout the week. So the first line we had was 49ers at Cardinals, and this is one I really do want to touch on here. 49ers at the Cardinals. We got it at minus 4.5 back on Monday morning. If you've been following this line, the Cardinals actually moved all the way up to minus 5.5. And it was staying there for a little while. I think it stayed there through yesterday, actually. From like Monday night, it was at about minus 5. Tuesday, got it to minus 5.5, and it stayed there for a whole day. And it did not start moving down or shifting down until late yesterday afternoon, maybe like an hour or two before the game started. And I'm going to tell you right now, I know for a fact that some very sharp guys, some guys with a lot of money, bet the hell out of the 49ers at 6. They bought that half point up, and they banged the Niners at 6. And that's totally fine because that's a key number, and that's what they're betting on. They're really banking on, hey, look, this is probably going to be a closer game. This may be a backdoor cover where the 49ers get it down to 6, and that's where we have it at. And that's really not far from my numbers because my numbers had Cardinals minus 7. So I still like the Cardinals minus 4.5, but I see some more movement in this line coming up before we actually get to kickoff. I think once tomorrow hits and you have just the general public coming in, especially because tomorrow's a big day for college football, you're going to have people coming in looking at these lines. Just, hey, I'm going to put $5 on this, I'm going to put $10 on that. People who aren't like super serious about it, again, we call them the shitter guys because they're making these bets from the shitter for the most part. Just taking a shit, putting a few bets out there, making a few DFS lineups. That's who that is. That's who pays the casino for the most part. We don't want to be those guys. But when these guys look at this line and they say, hey, you know what, Trey Lance is playing, he's looked like shit. I know there's some injuries. I know there's some backups, playing for the secondary of the 49ers. I fully expect this line to go back up to 5, maybe even back up to 5.5. I think the second it gets back up to 5.5, though, you're going to have that sharp movement come in again. They're going to bang it again. They're going to buy up that half point and bang the hell out of it down back to 5. The reason I'm telling you this right now is if it gets back to 5 and you want to hedge, you feel free to tease this thing. Because if you can tease it from 5, you'll get the 10. Well, first of all, you'll get the 6, the 7, and the 10. Because you would get it at 49ers minus 11. And at that price, like I said, you are then on both sides of what my algorithm is saying. Because, again, my algorithm is saying Cardinals minus 7 or minus like a little over 6.5. That's about the line. If you get that tease, you're going to get the Cardinals on the minus 4.5, which is a good side. You're going to get the 49ers at plus 11, which is also a good side. Definitely a good possibility to hit both there and kind of middle it, especially on like a 10 or a 7, which would be perfect. I really think that's a good play there. The, argument to say that the 49ers are going to keep this thing close is that the 49ers have not put in the Trey Lance playbook yet. So the Cardinals don't really have a way to prepare defensively on how they're going to stop Trey Lance because they don't even know what the hell he's going to do. And on the flip side of that, the 49ers, even Kyle Shanahan is not really sure how Trey Lance is going to look. I mean, he knows there's certain things he's going to do. There's certain places he's going to call for him. But once those bullets start flying, man, it's a totally different story. Trey Lance is going to either sack up and get a bunch of yards on the ground and maybe hit Debo. And, they're going to use some RPOs. They're going to have some free flyers going out there like Debo, maybe even Ayuk. And the Cardinals, could get sucked in by that, especially because they don't really have a lot of film to prep on. So I could see the 49ers doing that. Again, the opposite side of that is the Cardinals come out first quarter. they realize, hey, look, let's put up points. Let's get the hell on the scoreboard. And they're up, 14-0, 10-0, 17-0, something like that early on. And then they're not biting on those RPOs anymore because, you know what, if you want to run the ball, we're going to let you run the ball. We're up 3 scores. So, again, this one could go either way, but I like that idea of hedging. I personally am going to be doing that. And quite frankly, I already did that. So, again, I'm not backing off the Cardinals -4.5. If you have that line, by all means, I still really love that line. But if you see the opportunity to hedge, I would do like a half unit with the teased 49ers +11. And hopefully, our goal is to hit both of those. The other side of that is that you're only really risking a half a unit because, one or the other is going to have to hit. And if they both hit, what happens is you're essentially risking half a unit to win 2 units. So, again, if you have any confusion on this, let me know. Put it in the comments. I've been really active with these comments, but I just wanted to give you guys that heads up. Next, those Patriots-Texans. We got in on this at under 41. It's at over/under 39.5. The line actually has not moved. This is one of the red times I did tell you guys to buy this up over a point. So it's under 41. But the over/under, again, is still at 39.5. It had gotten down to 39, meaning that people were betting the under. But I guess at some point, somebody said, yeah, 39 is probably, you can accidentally go over 39, put some money on it, and popped it back up to the 39.5. Next line, though, was the Broncos-Steelers. Now, we teased this line with as the first leg of the teaser. We got it under 47. So when we teased this, it was at 41. And the teaser obviously bumped it up to the under 47. It has actually gone down 2 points. And I think some of this has to do with the Big Ben injuries and issues that are going on there. And then we also don't know if Teddy Bridgewater's playing or not. So that it has bumped down 2 points. So that's 2 points in our favor. That's always good. Giants-Cowboys, we got this back at the -7 when we teased it. And we teased it down to -1. It had bumped up to -7.5 for a second. I guess some early money came in on the Cowboys. And then just actually overnight, it came back down to -7 again. So that's essentially where we had it at to begin with. Also, Patriots -3 at the Texans was another teaser that we had. Now, one thing I do want to bring up with this one, and again, this is not changing any of the picks or anything like that. Whatever we have already, we're leaving it on there, obviously. But one thing to just be aware of, if you are on the Texans or if you're on the under, the Patriots are down for sure 2 of their linemen. Their left tackle and the left guard are both out. The starters, that is. The right guard and the right tackle are questionable. So it looks like they're probably going to play the right side of their line, but they are banged up. Now, that being said, I still have the Patriots winning this game, even with the new numbers, with the injured linemen and things like that. I still have the Patriots as over a touchdown favorites. So, the -3 that we got with the teaser, I still like it. But the reason I'm bringing this up is that, one, it helps the under. Because if the Texans can get any pressure on Mac Jones and he's not able to not that he is a deep passer anyways, but if he just has to kind of hit these rhythm passes, it's going to take a lot longer to score. It's going to probably be a lot more running on the outside, and it's going to kind of lend itself to the under in this one. But other part of that, if you're playing fantasy, what you want to do is look for basically like Jacoby Myers, somebody who can do a quick slant route and get open, because they're not going to have a lot of time, especially if all 4 of the linemen end up missing time. Mac Jones is not going to have a lot of time back there to let things develop. I do expect a lot of 12 personnel, meaning that Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith are going to be in line. They're going to probably be used to block. Now, that's where it gets a little tricky, because if you have Jonnu and or Hunter Henry, they're going to do one of 2 things. They're either going to leave them in there to block, like all the time, and that way Mac Jones at least has that additional layer of protection, or they're going to use them intermittently to go out for passes because they don't really have a lot of receiving threats. So I do believe that they're going to have to do that, and it's just a matter of who are they going to use for what, or are they going to kind of switch, mix and match with them depending on whatever look they give. But I do believe they're going to have a lot of 12 personnel. Those guys are going to be on the field a lot, and there is a possibility that one or both of them has a really, really good day, because they are going to be the quick, short routes, safe routes, probably the best receivers on the field, and they're going to be on the field all the time. So there is a good possibility that the Patriots tight ends finally have their breakout day, one or the other, or maybe even both. Next, though, we had the Bills and the Chiefs at under 50.5. Now, this is one we had teased down. It's still 56.5, so that has not moved at all. Browns and the Chargers. This is my favorite pick of the week. I don't give out locks, guys. If you want locks, what do they say? Go down to Home Depot. There's no locks in betting. Sorry, that's just the way it is. But with that being said, it was at a total of 47. This is the other one that I had told you again, and I apologize because this is something that we don't usually ask for, and we don't usually do. As far as, I don't know what the hell I'm saying. My dog is next to me. I guess we'll count him. Me and him don't usually do that. But this is one of those weeks where it was a number that I really liked and I really felt confident on, and it was within the budget. It came out to minus 135 at the time because it was at 47, brought it up to the 48.5. So it has gone down an extra point, so we are getting more agreement on our side of the bet here. So that's always good. Like I said, this is my favorite play for the week. If you can get it in here somehow, I'm not going to tell you to buy 2 points because at that time I think it's like at minus 150 is how much it costs to do that. I'm not going to risk all that. But if you can maybe fit it into a teaser, like I said, if you want to tease that with the 49ers, something along those lines, just to get it over the 48.5 that I'm looking for, I would definitely try to find a way to add that into your lineup. So that's what we have there as far as line moves and picks and all that kind of stuff. Last thing I wanted to do here, last thing is I've had some people, not necessarily on YouTube, but just in general, ask about teasing, and I have made a video on this before, but asking why we don't tease through zero. For example, Bengals are a big favorite, or not a big favorite, they're obviously a dog, but they are a public dog. I mean, there's a lot of people that really like that play. They really want to take the Bengals at the plus money, and I've been asked, okay, well, if that's the case, why don't we tease the Packers since we can, get a plus 4.5 right now on the Packers? Well, the reason we don't do that, right now they are at minus 2.5. So if we tease them down, so we're going to tease them 2 points down, and then it's going to come back to 4 points here. So we're getting a 6% increase here, another 6% increase here, and then 6 and 6 on the way back up. So that's 12, 24. Really, the only key number we're crossing is this 3. Now, the 3 is a big key number, obviously, but that's really the only one we're crossing, and then a 5. So that's 6, 12, 26, 31, plus the 12 on the other side. So it's 47%. So you have a 47% increase. But keep in mind, the 0, because obviously from the 1, you got to go to the 0. And in between those, you have the 0.5s on each side. Those have 0 value. There's so few games in the NFL that end in a tie. I know recently it's been like 1 a year. But still, that's 1 out of what was 256 games. It's just there's no value to that. So you have a whole cross-through number where you're getting absolutely no value. So you're getting very little value there, where let's say you were teasing it from like 2.5 to 8, or even like the 3 to the 9, something like that. You're going to get more value on this side of this side because you're going to have more key numbers that you're crossing, and you're not losing an entire point of value. So that's why you don't tease through 0. Now, I will say this is one of the few years where 1 is somewhat of a minor key number, I guess, because it's at 6%. So that usually it's not nearly this high. So that was where the rule of, hey, don't cross through 0 comes in at. All of that being said, though, obviously rules change. Things change. There's different outcomes that are going to occur. So if you do it, you do it. I mean, it happens. I've known some people that do it, and they do it successfully because they're looking to just get the 3. That's all they want. And that's fine. If that's you, if you think that that's valuable, by all means, I'm not here to tell you no, don't do it. I just want you to know the math behind it and why they're telling you not to do it. So, again, guys, hopefully that was helpful. If there is anything else I can do for you, any other questions you have, any comments you have, let me know. I'm going to put the official picks in the description below. One other thing, and I apologize, because the line's just not out yet. I'm still looking for the Patriots first quarter. I'm hoping that it's going to be like Patriots minus 2.5 for the first quarter. I'm still looking for that, but I can't really make it official until a line comes out. So be on the lookout for that. I do think even with the line issues, I think the Patriots are still going to have a better first quarter than the Texans, obviously. But I think that they're going to probably be more aggressive because they're going to need, or I should say Bill's going to want to put up points in the first quarter so that he's not having to rely on, avoiding the blitz the entire game. Once he's up, he's probably just going to milk that lead. So I'm thinking that first quarter is going to be pretty good for the Patriots. It's probably going to be like a 7-0 kind of first quarter. Especially if the Texans don't know how to stop anything. So, again, thanks again, guys. Hopefully everybody has some good luck this weekend. Hopefully we can keep this train rolling and keep, making the plus money. Have a great day and good luck.